Good morning, everybody. It's Jim Feist in Las Vegas and Joe Mack in New York City. Good morning, Joe.
Hey, Jim. How are you today?
I'm doing great. We watched our first football game. Not much in the, it wasn't a great football game, but it was an exciting game, especially at the end for the sports bettors, totals and sides and everything else. Personally, I didn't like the game that much. I liked Baltimore to win it. I could not lay the points, so I played the money line. I laid 140 on Baltimore. I think I had the right side. They led most of the game. And got down to the end, and the two-point conversion made the difference.
We like the under in that game, and the two-point play might have pushed in some areas, might have lost in others, but we wound up cashing in with Jim Hurley's network on that one. But, yeah, definitely, the Ravens were the right side. The Bears, just to kind of stand on a soapbox for a quick minute, I really was surprised with the strategy, if you would, of both head coaches and the coaching staff. I thought, you got Mitchell Trubisky. He played in 12 games last year, parts of a few, started a few. I know they've got the extra preseason game, and obviously you have additional chance, if you would, of injury. I didn't understand, with a rookie head coach and you're installing this new offense, why you wouldn't put more of your starters out there and stuff and let Trubisky play a little. As it turned out, the Bears played one offensive lineman who they project as a starter, none of their new receivers, neither of their top backs, nor Trubisky. I thought it was almost a wasted opportunity. I don't want to make it sound like the end of the world or that I know better than these coaches what to do, but I didn't understand that run-pass option field. And the funny thing is, the Ravens, we knew they weren't going to play Flacco, that's no big deal, but I thought Lamar Jackson would play first-half action with more second stringers. Again, the Ravens didn't play any starters on offense, and they put Lamar Jackson in the second half. And as we saw, growing pains and whatnot, he threw one interception where he clearly did not have the guy on target. He threw a couple of nice balls otherwise. He scrambled for some yards, but you could see he did not pick up a couple of blitzes very well. And as I said in a column today, the Ravens have seen the future, and I said and it may be Lamar Jackson, but just not yet. He's and I think Al Michaels, doing the play-by-play last night for NBC, hit it right on the head. He said, listen, it's just a matter of time when Lamar Jackson will be this team's quarterback. But if anyone thinks he's going to just pull the rug out from Joe Flacco and jump in there, it's not going to happen, not anytime soon. But again, I thought the Ravens, and I love John Harbaugh as a coach, despite the fact the last 5-6 years the team has really underachieved a bit. I thought they should have let Lamar Jackson play some first half snaps and get him in there. But maybe the coaches know better. To me, I thought it was a little bit of a couple of wasted opportunities on their end to get a look at some of their skilled players. So we'll see how they do it going forward. And, it was kind of a typical game in a lot of ways. Maybe fewer penalties than we saw, although, as we saw, Jim, this leading with your helmet is going to be an issue, at least in the preseason. They're going to flag every guy whose helmet hits an opposing running back or receiver before, his shoulder hits them. So that's going to be an issue. And, they talk about some of the other rules, the kickoff. To me, the kickoff is almost an obsolete thing. But anyway, fewer penalties overall than normal, but a lot of dropped passes, a lot of sloppy play, and some bad tackling thrown in along the way. But again, these teams have only been in camp for 10, 11 days each, so I guess it's about what we could have expected.
I appreciate all your comments. I think you're right on point in a couple cases, but I think for the coaches and for me, the most valuable property on the field, the one that it's hardest to replace, is the quarterback. So, and the reason that I don't play much and put more at the quarterback situation in a game like this, which is the fifth game they will play this, they're going to play 5 games. The rest of the teams are only going to play 4. So they looked at a lot of players that are not going to be there very long. Offensive line players, defensive line players, all over the field. I don't want to put my quarterbacks out there in bad situations where they could get you get an offensive line player or a running back out there that misses a block, and then you lose your quarterback. So, in my opinion, playing those guys as little as possible and letting them work out their problems in practice rather than where they're getting really hit is a smart thing to do. Especially when they're paying some of these guys such a big percentage of the bankroll they're allowed to spend. So I don't mind all that, and I expected that in the game. I would have played the game under, but I thought that it was a little too low for me to do that. And I thought the mobility of the Baltimore quarterbacks that were going to play would be a big advantage for Baltimore because when you're playing against defenses that don't know what the hell they're doing yet after only 11 days in camp, and a lot of guys that are not going to be there, that gives a mobile quarterback a lot of advantage. However, it worked out the way it worked out, and I only played the money in Baltimore. I laid 140. I couldn't lay the spread. It was just just too much. For me, preseason, if you're $5 better, you should be, or $500 better, you shouldn't bet any more than $50 on a preseason game, unless it comes down to like week 3, where there's a coach that's going to really go for it. He's going to really, he's going to probably rest in week 4, but in week 3 he's going to go for it. You might get some real good spots there, and I usually do, and I might make a big play there because it's information play. That's just my philosophy on preseason. It's worked for me for about 45 years, so I'm going to stick with it. Joe, have you noticed the number of runs being scored by some of these teams in baseball?
It is wild. Hasn't it been a wild week? I mean, last night the Dodgers 21 runs, 7 home runs they hit last night. I mean, as you know, I'm a Mets fan, and I sat through the other night. I actually watched the whole game that night, 25-4. Mostly I stayed in because the announcing team the Mets have, sorry, Keith Hernandez and Ron Darling, are very funny. And you also knew from middle of the game on they were going to go to a position play to pitch, and we all know what happened to Jose Reyes. They lit him up. But boy, Jim, it's crazy. I mean, these teams, if we saw 12, 13 runs scored here and there, you see that, of course, during the course of the year, especially with good offensive teams. But, I mean, we've seen 18s and 19s and 21, 24s. I mean, this is crazy that some of these teams, they just go wild. And I looked at some of the balls last night. I mean, you see guys going 4 for 5 with 6 RBI and 4 run scores. I'm like, this is like Little League stats. Again, it doesn't happen every night, but like last night, Josh Peterson and Phil Puig, both of the Dodgers, they put up those kind of numbers. If people check out the box score on their computer, on their paper, they're going to see these guys were like a combined 9 of 12 with, 11 RBI because 2 guys. It's been wild. I mean, we've seen kind of an epidemic of it. And again, you're going back to a few things here. I think the ball is definitely juiced. I mean, I think the ball, I've seen it travel in some parks, in some stadiums this year where I never saw balls fly out like that. And some of these games that get out of hand, I mean, the Yankee game last night against Red Sox got out of hand in a hurry. And how about being that relief pitcher on the Yankees? He's older. He faced 7 guys, did not get 1 guy out. I think the Yankees, after the game, a couple of subtle, or not so subtle shots at their rookie manager, Aaron Boone, where a couple of guys were like, hey, when were you going to pull a guy? I mean, he walked a couple, gave up a 3-run homer that went into the street, and he's still out there chucking it. 7 batters in, and guy never got it out. I give him credit. Holder appeared before the media after the game, but truthfully, he looked like he was shell-shocked. And a lot of these pitching staffs are getting shell-shocked in these games they're talking about with multiple runs. I mean, I'm just looking last night, like we said, 21 runs for the Dodgers, 15 for the Red Sox, 17. I'm skipping Texas with 17 last night. Crazy. It's really been quite nuts. I saw a stat in a local paper here that said the Indians going into this week, their home games, now I don't have this verified, but I read that the Indians games had gone over in 31 of their last 35 home games. That's wild. And the guy who wrote it the guy who wrote it, I like to give him credit. I don't have the article in front of me. He made a good point. He said, listen, the Indians have a great lineup. They got 2 or 3 guys that are MVP candidates, like Francisco Lindor at shortstop. He's got like 30 homers. And he said, and they've got the second worst bullpen in baseball. So the combination of them pounding it out, and their starters, unless it's Carrasco, who's been great, Kluber, who more often than not is great, the other 3 guys in their rotation, they go 5 innings, and then the bullpen blows up. So anybody that's been riding over in the Indian home, probably, early May, they're probably not listening to us right now, Jim. They're probably having a cold drink in a faraway place,
They probably bought an island. They're living on it right now. It's it's been a hell of a. I was aware of that stat, and as a matter of fact, I've played them many times in that situation. You just have to just give up on who the pitching staff is. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense. It just keeps happening. It's been. I'm happy football is back, but I can't give up working really hard on baseball because I think there's a lot of profit to be made. And, the totals we see, betting an under these days is really tough unless you have really bad, a team that just is not hitting the ball and a really good pitcher. I mean, it's just very, very difficult betting under the way these balls are flying out. And I don't know if it's going to continue. It's crazy. Either these guys hit home runs or they strike out. It's either or. It's not, it's a different kind of game that we grew up watching. The bullpens make a big difference because if you don't have a bullpen that can hold anybody, just forget about it. If there's an under to be bet, it's in the first 5 innings. It's not in the game. So it's been crazy. Everything changes, and we have to change with it. So that's the way it is. Football, I'm pretty excited about football being back. I hope that
any pitcher has gone this year. Wow, I mean, it's like the guys are not even getting through 6 innings, and they're getting wins and stuff. But I'm saying, what happened today? Forget the days of the complete game. We know that went out a long time ago. But what happened to guys trying to get 21 outs? Get through 7 innings, put in your 8th inning guy, put in your closer, bing, bang, boom, you win the game. I mean, now guys are, as they like to say, guys are like 5 and fly. Give me 5 innings, give me 90 pitches, 85 pitches, and get them out. And then you're asking the bullpen. I'll tell you what I think we're going to see, Jim, the rest of this way, and this is why I thought relief pitchers would be so much in demand at the trade deadline. And they were. My prediction of the relievers being the hot items didn't pan out. But as we got close to deadline, a lot of relievers, and not all closers, obviously, relievers changed hands. And I think you're going to see a lot of bullpens totally burnt out by the end of this month. I mean, these teams who think they're going to make these runs in September, or who have nice leads like the Yankees and Red Sox, they know that they're in the playoffs no matter what. Their bullpens are going to be—they're going to be on fumes come December 1st. I mean, I know then they get to call up other guys. Teams get to call, expand their rosters. But you're really seeing, I mean, every box score I look at, Jim, you see multiple pitchers. It doesn't matter if the game is 5-3 and you won, you're using 4 guys, 5 guys. It's got to catch up to these teams. I mean, when guys start pitching 85, 90 games, 100 games in a year, it's got to tear the apart. So it's going to be interesting. Now, I don't know who's done the best job so far with the bullpen, but again, get back to the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees have a lot of arms out there in the pen. You and I touched on it last week when they acquired Zach Britton. They needed another lefty. They got one. Still, every night, the same, unless they're in the lead in a close game and Chapman comes in to close it, they're using these guys every day. I mean, I don't know how a team can withstand it. And especially they got this 4-game series in Boston. I mean, who knows? By the end of this 4-game series, the Yankee bullpen may pretty much be shot. So it's something worth keeping track of. But as far as your first note about the high-scoring games, we'll have to still see a lot more of these 15, 18, 21 games, these explosions, because of the weather, the ball, and both bad bullpens on bad teams. I mean, they're going to give it up. I mean, that's all there is to it.
It definitely is a game, and we have to adjust to it, as I said. These you talk about who's done the best job, then take a look at the Tampa Bay Devil race. I mean, they start their relievers.
That's right.
I mean, and
They call them openers, I know.
I know.
Some of them haven't pitched too well lately, though. I saw a guy this week, he gave up 3 runs and 6 hits in 1 inning, so that didn't go too well.
Now
But yes, no, I know that.
watch for Stanek today. The Rays will win today, I'm telling you. I know the price is high, but they will win the game today.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, the funny thing is, though, obviously they've been tracking it as far as what they call these relief pitchers who are starting, they're calling them openers. They've not done well in those games. It's the other games that they've done well in, and Archer, before he got traded to the Pirates, was not understanding what the manager is doing, and he's obviously working hand in hand with the front office on these decisions. But those opener guys, some of them give you a nice inning, they're out. Some of them give you 2 innings, they're out. But they're under 500 in those games. They're over 500 when using Yarborough and some of these other starters on the team. So it's interesting how they've used them. And, it's been kind of I understand their logic. If they can get the 1 inning out, especially if you got a right-hand pitcher and you're looking at a lineup that has 3 righties to start out, you figure, okay, let's use this opener to get these guys out. And then you put your real starter in the 2nd inning, for 6 innings from. I understand the logic, but you know what? The proof's in the pudding. It really has not worked. I mean, I don't know what the record is. I think it's like 12-16 right now or something. So we'll see. I know it's like trying to, what's the saying that goes, reinvent the wheel or something, but they got to do what they think is right for their team, and I give them credit. They made a lot of moves at the deadline, and I think made a couple of nice moves, but sometimes you reinvent the wheel and you find out it was good the way it was,
Well, Ryan Stanek is pitching today. He's the opener. At home, he's been absolutely remarkable. His ERA at home is 0.42. That's pretty damn good. They have been remarkable in that situation, not necessarily on the road. Kevin Cash, he's doing this out of necessity because he hasn't had the starters, due to injuries and et cetera, and he's done this pretty good job. I mean, the Rays are not a great team. I'm not saying that, but in spots, and it's a big price. It's not something that a lot of people would want to play, but I like Stanek at home in this opener situation. It gives them a pretty good situation to start off the game. It's just one of those things. There's a lot of great games out there today to play. I mean, the Dodgers are in a big game with Houston. This is the first visit by Houston to Dodger Stadium since the World Series. The Yankees are going to have to try to figure out a way to beat Boston because if they keep losing, they're going to be down 10, 11 games behind them going after they leave here after the 4 games. So they're going to have to figure out now, the Yankees are banged up. I mean, they have players out, good players.
Right.
And you can't, nobody talks enough about that. I mean, you got a couple of guys out of the lineup that just are, pretty damn good. And you start taking them out of the lineup, they're not as good a team. So I see stats where, the Yankees are great against left-handers. Yeah, but put those left-handers, they were pitching against guys that were there that are not there no more. So you've got to look at what the situation is today, in my opinion.
Right. No, the Yankees, you're right. The Yankees have been hurt by Aaron Judge's absence, not only his bat, but what it does surrounding him. I mean, Stanton is not getting as many good pitches to hit. And you take Gary Sanchez out. Now, Gary Sanchez has been really a very maligned player in the New York City area this year because of what I hate when they call him lazy, but, he's such a poor defensive catcher, and he gives the impression that he's not running hard. But, he took a lot of flack for not running a ball out last week that ended the game on what looked like it was going to be a 4th play. He didn't run hard. Anyway, not having his bat in the lineup. I mean, come on, that guy's a killer. He's an RBI machine. He's been out more than half the games this year. Judge has been out now the better part of a week. That definitely hurts. And as you said, I mean, if the Yankees are not careful, if they lose 3 out of 4 this series, it's a crippling blow. If they wind up getting swept, God forbid, you know what? They're going to be just looking to hang on to the wild card because, I mean, you look at these other teams, and Oakland and Seattle, I mean, Seattle's in a little spin here, losing 3 in a row. But I mean, these teams are incredible. The A's are 18 over 500 with a lineup that I guarantee even hardcore baseball fans couldn't give me 5 guys in the lineup. Seattle 17 games over 500, playing the majority of the year without Robinson Cano. I mean, if the Yankees free fall a little bit, I know right now they're still 29 over 500, but check it out. Like I said, the A's are 18 over. The A's keep playing that kind of ball, and the Yankees get crushed here in Boston. You know, then you're looking at that wild card game as a, you know, almost to be a certainty, but where are you going to play it? I mean, do you really want to play these guys somewhere else? I don't know, but it's an interesting thing. You know, you talked about Tampa Bay, and as you were talking, Jim, I looked it up. Their over-under before the start of the season was 73.5. So, I mean, give the whole Blue Jay, the whole Ray organization credit. I mean, they're 3 over 500. They've done what we talked about with their openers, Stanek being very good at home, as you said. They got you know, they just traded away Archer, who really probably never performed up to his standards the last couple of years. And, I mean, they just pieced it together with no kind of payroll, and they're playing 5-14 ball, and all you got to win is 74 games to cash. So, I mean, they've really had a great year. It's been, you know, like I said, the A's, the Mariners, the Rays, I mean, they should all be taking a collective vow, even with everyone talking Yankees, Red Sox. And again, and then I wanted to just jump in, you talked about the Dodger-Astros series. I can't remember a time where 2 high-quality teams that were in the World Series the year before got less publicity going into a series. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's the East Coast bias here. All we hear is Yankee Red Sox. But, I mean, these teams are for real. You know, the Astros, I know some people toss this stat out, but the Astros lead the American League in run differential. And the Dodgers right now, maybe thanks in part to last night's 21 run score, they lead the National League. And I wrote in the column today, I will not be surprised at all with all the talk about all the other teams that are there. I would not be surprised right now if we had another Astro-Dodger World Series, 6-game, 7-game series. I wouldn't be shocked. They both have solid pitching. They both have quality lineups if everybody's healthy. And I think the Dodgers have been kept up by the, you know, the trade. I mean, getting Machado, getting Dozier, who homered the other night. Anyway, right now, if you ask me to pin down a World Series, I think I'd give you a repeat, and we haven't had one of them in a long time.
Yeah, but I'm not going to. I agree with you. That's a great possibility, and I like the possibility of it. But boy, I'll tell you what, this Boston team is going to be hard to beat, no matter who they face, and they are damn good, and that's gonna be a team that's going to be tough to beat. We're running a little long here, Joe. Your plays, Jim Hurley Sports, VegasSportsMasters.com, JimHurleySports.com, Red Hot. We've got the football, the horses. We've got everything going on. We've got baseball, rocking and rolling. This is an important time. Anybody out there want to win some money? Go to VegasSportsMasters.com. Go to JimFeist.com and check out the plays. Joe, thank you very, very much for your time today. Great podcast as usual. And everybody out there, thank you for listening. We really appreciate you tuning in.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Joe. Great job.
All right. All right.